Rob, obviously you said you want to fight across the globe. We've done Paris. How are you finding the Saudi experience?
Yeah, it's one of the perks of the job. I've been able to travel the world and fight in very exotic places, and I've been able to tick off a lot of history. So to be here for the first Saudi event in history, I'm very lucky.
Obviously, when you hear Hamzat's out of the fight, your first thought is, well, I need a replacement, I still want to compete. But does any part of you allow yourself to be disappointed that a big fight has fallen through, or do you just have to switch on the attention to the next guy right away?
I'm not really worried about too much and who I'm fighting. I'm going to be honest, I'm here to fight. I was fit, I was ready, and this is how to provide for my family. So everyone knew I wanted to fight. I'm here, so I'm going to fight.
I'm sure you come up with game plans for your opponent, but at this stage where you're so close to the fight, right, does it even matter who they're going to throw at you where, this might be a completely different style, or are you just so ready and so willing to compete at this point that it doesn't even matter the name that comes towards you?
Honestly, by this stage in the camp, all the work's been done. I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm sharp, and all the skills that I worked with Chimaev, for Chimaev, no skill is wasted, no skill is useless, and a lot of it can be used in this fight. So all the work's been done. I'm ready.
I saw that you didn't know who Ikram was when they offered you the fight. I'm sure you've done your research now. You just mentioned that some of the skills you had for Chimaev could have applied to this one. Do you see them as similar sort of opponents? Do they have similar styles in your mind?
They're very different opponents. I think working the amount of wrestling I did for Chimaev will definitely come into play into this fight. And a big thing has been about us pushing the game plan onto our opponents, and that's been kind of constant throughout my career. So I look forward to getting in there and seeing how he deals with the amount of tools and skill sets that I'm going to bring.
Going into the Paulo fight, you said you needed to get the beast back and you were in there to hurt him, not just fight him. Is that a mentality that you saw successful in that fight, so you're going to keep pushing that going into each fight? Is that what you mean by pushing your own game plan?
It was definitely part of the equation, and as much as it's a sport, it's a combat sport. We're in there and we're doing combat. We're two warriors going in there, and we're gonna really test our mettle. So the idea to get in there and be the hunter and just hunt him down and hurt him until he goes away is very much the game plan.
I know your calendar doesn't go past Saturday, but if you could ideally put the stakes on this fight, what would you like them to be? Right, when it was Chimaev, it seemed obvious the winner, title shot. Now Ikram's come in, lower ranked guy. Do you think that affects it, or do you think the fact that you've done the UFC a favour by taking this fight short notice should still get you that title shot if you win?
The only sure thing in the UFC is that winning opens doors. And my focus, as you said, my focus is solely on this Saturday night, getting my hand raised, and I'll worry about the rest afterwards. If he's around at the top of the game and I'm around the top of the game, our paths will cross. It wasn't anything. I don't have any particular opponents that I look to fight. It's just they give me a name and I say yes, and then we hit.
And Israel Adesanya, he did like a breakdown, and he basically said that he thinks you're going to beat the brakes off of Aliskerov. I just wanted to get your reaction on that.
I'm going in there pretty confident too. I've trained everything. I've ticked every box. I've hit every milestone that I need to. I'm going to go in there the best version of myself. And like I said, I'm looking to put him away.
I know you've probably been asked a lot, obviously, because you've been in there with Dricus, been in there with Israel. But I just want to get your thoughts on the fight and how do you think it plays out?
Honestly, you'd have to. I think Dricus fighting Sean displayed a level of pressure that he can put, which is to stop a pressure fighter like Sean. I thought that was pretty impressive. He's tough and dogged in that effect. And then we saw Sean have a lot of success against Adesanya, pushing forward, pushing that pace, being in his face. So you'd have to, make the connections that's what Dricus is going to do to Adesanya. And unless Adesanya's done something to counter that since the last time he crossed Sean's path, then it might be a long night.
Robert, your former opponent, Chimaev, your current opponent, Ikram, they actually fought some 5 years ago. Obviously, time passes, people evolve, things change, but did you have the chance to watch that fight? And if yes, did you learn something from it, from neither of them?
I think it just displays how good Aliskerov is. You know, before he lost, he was giving Chimaev a hard time. And obviously 5 years is a long time. I'm not the fighter I was 5 years ago. I'm a much better version of it. But yeah, you know, I think it just lends to the gravity and the respect that I'm giving this fight.
Still on the same note, you mentioned about like the qualities of Ikram, but it's always hard when a fight is cancelled, or at least you replace an opponent in the fight week. For your case, especially, like you're looking to climb up the mountain again to get back in title contention. Obviously, some sort of conversations happen in the backstage and whatnot. But is there any space left to feel a little bit of gratitude? Because I'm sure fighting Bob Knuckles with 1 week of notice is not a thing that like everybody would say, oh yeah, please come. So is there any space left for it, or all you think is just like, yeah, just let me go there and kill that guy?
There's a lot of gratitude. There's gratitude to my team, there's gratitude to the UFC, and there's gratitude to Ikram for taking the fight. Like I said, this is how I provide for my family. So without all those components, this fight wouldn't be happening, and I wouldn't be doing that. So there's a lot of gratitude, but in the same sentence, I still want to kill him. It's that's the game. That's the aim of the game.
And finally, just to compliment a colleague's question, he asked about like maybe there's some sort of gratitude coming from the UFC for you taking a last-minute opponent, etc., etc. My question is slightly different. There was some sort of conversation about that. Was that something that you and your team put forward and say like, listen, Khamzat's not fighting. That was a fight that most likely would put you in title contention once again. Is that something that you kind of demanded to be kept by for taking Ikram with 1 week notice?
My biggest concern was making sure that the fight happened, was going through with the fight. And my biggest concern now is beating Ikram. Like I said before, doors open when you win, and he's a hard fight, he's a dangerous opponent, and I got my hands full with that.
Robert, when the Ikram fight was just announced, you mentioned that Ikram is even dangerous than Khamzat. Do you still believe so?
Yeah, definitely. He's very much, a dangerous opponent. It's whether or not he's more like, you can look at it on paper that he might be more dangerous because of how well-rounded he is. But honestly, every fight brings a level of threat and a level of danger that has to be addressed.
Speaking about odds, it's even. But before the Khamzat fight, you were a big underdog. Were you surprised of that?
Didn't know until you told me. Like, it is what it is. None of that really matters, does it?
Robert, last night, the open workouts, you come out to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and you've got fans, and the chants of Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi were going up. Does that surprise you? My local friends here in Saudi are telling me you have a big following here, a cult following. Is that surprising to you?
It's always a little bit surprising to see that I have fans in different parts of the world and how many fans that I have. And the Aussie, Aussie, Aussie chants, I loved them. And I could tell they weren't Aussie. But it was great. To have that support here means the world to me.
Would you consider this as the toughest fight in your career? Thank you.
Definitely. But that's because my next fight is always my hardest. This guy he's the guy that's in the way. He's the guy that, the story's unwritten for. He's the guy that is going to try and come out there and take everything from me on Saturday. So he definitely is the most danger, the highest risk. And, I treat that very seriously, and I'm going to have to deal with it.